Hi everyone, it's really nice having you today. My name is Benoit Montet. It's an impossible name to pronounce if you are not French, so you can call me Ben. I'm very proud to be here and to be surrounded by those three amazing HR executive professionals. And I'm also very proud to be part of this first digital celebration of the Top Employer 2021. The topic of today is organizational culture, creating a culture of resilience. And you all two represent two very specific industry, logistic and medical. So you all two have been heavily impacted, like all of us, by the pandemic, but you also have had a special role in answering this pandemic as a key business player. Logistic, DHL, by the fact that we have all home delivery now, and medical, Takeda, by the urgence of vaccine and care for people. So your testimonial will be especially interesting today, I'm sure. So let's first, let's introduce our speakers today. So Annick, Deschoolmeester, Takeda, what can you tell us about yourself and your company, your organization?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for the introduction so far, Benoit. So if you have an impossible name to pronounce, then let's not even try mine. So Annick Deschoolmeester, and I lead. I'm the head of global learning and talent management at Takeda. So as you mentioned, medical, life sciences, we're a biopharmaceutical leader with a focus on R&D, 50,000 employees across the globe, present in close to 100 countries, and very proud that with the whole team, we were able to get our global top employer certification for the fourth consecutive year. So that's Takeda, really focused on people and focused on good practices.
Congratulations. Thank you very much, Annick. Otten, DHL, same question for you.
My name is not so difficult. It's Otten from the Netherlands. Deutsche Post, DHL, is a huge company. We have about 600,000 employees who work in 5 divisions. I'm responsible for human resources in one of those divisions, being global forwarding and freight. Our business is global logistics through ocean freight, air freight, and land transport in a network of stations all around the world and close to all the countries in the world. Our business is resilient by nature. We solve logistical problems. But even we were tested in 2020 quite a bit. Ships stopped sailing, airplanes stopped flying, borders were closed, political unrest, many things happening at the same time. At the same time, we had to be shifting our people to working from home. At one moment in time, more than 80% of our people, which are about 50,000, were working from home overnight. And we had to answer the question how to keep them safe, because that was the first question we had and our first priority all through the way. Now, even though with all of those circumstances, we managed to serve our customers and we found our purpose in that. But maybe more about that later.
Thank you, Harm. Thank you, Annick. So maybe the first question to enter directly into this topic of resilience. So Annick, what role does leadership plays in driving a resilient culture? And more specifically, how do we recognize resilient leadership, Annick?
Okay, thank you so much, Benoit, and a very good question. As we all know, resilient cultures are not built overnight, and it is about companies showing a long-term investment in, as already mentioned, purpose, processes, and people. And one of the most important factors when you think about driving organizational cultures is leadership. And resilient companies tend to have a highly transparent, strong, and visible leadership. And although every leader, to some extent, shows some level of resiliency, is able to kind of bounce back from setbacks, has emotional maturity. If one truly wants to be a resilient leader, there are a couple of attitudes, a couple of behaviors that can be truly important to keep in mind and look at developing. And one of the first ones is around communication. Truly resilient leaders are very effective at communicating their intentions to others. They are willing and intentionally putting time into helping others understand the new strategy or the new direction a company wants to take or sometimes needs to take. And so effective communication really helps others to understand those changes and to help them come on that journey. A second one is that resilient leaders are known to be very coachable. They are very humble, coachable, and they show a very strong desire to continuously improve their skills, their capabilities, and they continuously, throughout their whole career, they ask for feedback on how they can do things better, differently, and how they can continue to learn. But it's not only about their own development. Resilient leaders also show a genuine interest in the development of other people, and they're truly concerned about looking at developing their team members. As we know, resiliency is really needed when you encounter failures, when you go through difficult situations, and developing others helps everyone to learn from their mistakes, and as you learn from the mistakes, you're ready to kind of deal with that. And then maybe last but not least, resilient leaders also build trusting relationships. They build trust. They show a very high level of openness and open-mindedness to differences. And by doing that, they're able to build very strong teams. And as we all know, as we kind of manage through ambiguity, through uncertainty, doing it with a team rather than by oneself is so much easier.
Thank you very much, Annick. Really insightful. So I took some notes during your talk. So what I catch from your sharing is that first is about communication, and then it's about humble, coachable people, developing others, and a trustable relationship. So I hope it's the right summary, but I'm sure we will listen to you again. So thank you for that. Harm, maybe the second question for you. What are for you the elements of creating a resilient culture? So Annick, just share with us what are the elements of resilient leadership, but what are the elements of creating a resilient culture?
Thank you, Benoit. Well understood. A resilient company, a resilient culture doesn't happen overnight. This is something that you cherish for a number of years and that you develop. For me, there are a couple of important components in there. It's about organizational structure and practice. It's about technology and information. And maybe the most important it is, what Annick spoke about as well, is about leadership and mindset of people. So first of all, organizational structure and being prepared. As we face all kinds of circumstances around the world with our stations, be it an earthquake or a political riot or a volcano eruption, anything can happen that stops goods flowing, and we need to find solutions for our people, for our customers. So what we expect and what we practice with all of our stations around the world are business continuity plans. Now, this is not about trying to predict what's going to happen, but trying to prepare for the unexpected. That means thinking, what happens if the electricity falls out? What happens if this customer factory explodes? So you prepare for that as a team, and through this preparation, you get confidence. And with this confidence, you get resilience. Next to that, we continuously focus on safety of our people, and we make sure that they know we care and that they know it's the first thing that's important. Within organizational structure, I would say contacting with governmental institutions and the surroundings around us are also very important. That's why we have programs like Go Help or Get Airports Ready for Disaster, where we help airport organizations or governmental organizations together with the United Nations. We help them prepare for the unexpected through workflows and workshops. So much for organizational structure and practice together, get confidence. Second one is technology and information. You need to be able to act locally. We can't do this centrally. So there's a large component in there that people need to be an entrepreneur locally, but we have to communicate fast. So you take a risk, you find a solution, you communicate fast. And this is what technology helps us a lot. Our network around the globe, shifting goods around the globe, means we have to take care of the information flow around that and the decision tree around that. Fast decision taking, but also allowing people to take risks and to take steps and to make sure that this technology helps us. I also find, for looking back at 2020, I think about 30 years in forwarding and trying to move the needle of having people working from home. I wasn't able to move that for 1 inch. And then COVID-19 came around, and then in 24 or 48 hours, it was possible. Why? Because it was needed for our customers. And information technology plays a vital role in that. Third one is leadership and mindset, is what I said. It is about empowerment of our people and enabling them to do so. So our role as leaders is facilitating our people to do their job, trusting them in there, being aware of the circumstances that they have to operate in, being authentic leaders, being open for feedback and listening to them. Empowerment through trust, enabling our people is key in building a resilient culture.
Thank you very much. I also took some notes. So what I understood from your sharing is that first, you have to be prepared for the worst. You have to be prepared to reinforce your self-confidence. Then make the safety of your people first. And then build strong connection with all stakeholders and also public people and public organization. Have a central technology, but act locally, allowing risk and empowering people locally. Do I summarize that correctly, Harm?
You've done that very well, Benoit.
Thank you. Thank you. Maybe to go back to Annick. Annick, the second question for you is, we see what are the plus points of being resilient, but what are some misconceptions about resilience?
Oh, that's a good one, because I believe that there are quite a lot of misconceptions or myths around resilience that are floating around. Because over the last year, we've with the pandemic situation, with lots of the ambiguity, uncertainty that we've been going through, we've been hearing about resilience so often that it is almost steadily becoming emptied of a true practical meaning for individuals and for employees in the workplace. And that is really, it's sad, but it's also ironical, because it is in the workplace with employees that resilience can truly resonate. And so some of those misconceptions, I believe, really need some knocking down. And we have to make sure that resilience truly, again, has a meaning for our employees, that they understand in a useful way what it is and maybe what it's not. And one of the misconceptions that always puts probably a bit of an ironic smile on my face is when people try to convince me that resilient people don't let anything bother them. You know, it's like, if you're resilient, you just you suck it up, you drive on, you don't let yourself be even impacted, or you don't show that you're impacted by a situation or a failure. And that is absolutely a myth, because resilient people are resilient despite failure, not because of it. So there's always, everybody has a seed of resilience in them. And it is really important that you lean into a difficult situation, you acknowledge it. I think Harm referred to being authentic about it, being authentic, being vulnerable, showing that it does get to you, because just thinking that you have to pretend that it doesn't bother you, that's the best way to fuel burnouts with people. So that's one misconception that I truly want us to promote getting out of our system. And then maybe another one is around resilience being about bouncing back. That's one that I hear all the time as well. And as we know, and as we've been experiencing last year and unfortunately still this year, some situations change things in such a way that it will never go back to the old way of being. And it's making changes that need us to get ready and feel comfortable with a new normal, and accept that new normal and find a way to evolve in it, to thrive in it, and to feel comfortable with it. And so that's where, for me, when you think about resilience, it is about bouncing forward rather than bouncing back. It is about learning from the mistakes so that you are equipped and that you are, to some extent, vaccinated and armored for the future. And when those situations arise, you feel very comfortable because you've learned in the past how you can deal with it. So these are only two misconceptions, but I think there's a long list of them. But it's really important to make sure that we help people understand how to break through some of those misconceptions so that it's, again, useful for our employees.
Yeah, thank you very much, Annick. What I understand finally in the short resume is that it has to be linked to a meaning. Resilience has to be linked to a meaning. The second point was being strong or untouchable. That's not possible. Being touchable, being fragile is also can help the resilience. And the third point was accepting and not coming back to the last stage, accepting that things are changing, forever, maybe.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Harm, I would like to come back to you and ask you a question on how do you facilitate creating a mindset of resilience in your company and in your company's people?
Yeah, I get it. Some things I already said in the first question, but an agile mindset needs to be embedded in the culture of the entire organization. It starts at the top and it goes all the way down. People have to know our strategy, what we're doing, what their task is. People have to know our purpose. Why are we here? The purpose of DPDHL is connecting people and improving lives. And that's more relevant than ever during this area and especially last year. Second element is trust and enablement. People have to feel that they can act. People have to feel that they can take a risk. People have to feel that they can be an entrepreneur thinking with their customers. Having and creating trust is one of our 6 key leadership attributes and a part of our culture. All of our trainings, all of our virtual and classroom trainings, which we do a lot of that, have that built in. And we spend a lot of time in talking to our leaders about that. The third part is having an entrepreneurial spirit. The success of our business is being part of a network with a global responsibility, but also with local acting and a local responsibility. Take matters into your own hand and find solutions. This, by the way, is also really job fulfilling for our people. It gives them a purpose, it gives them room to act, and it gives them job fulfillment. That's also the beauty of being a forwarder. Sorry for being so passionate about forwarding. Entrepreneurship is the second one of our DGF values. We want our employees to really be entrepreneurs and think what they can do for our customers, how we can create business with that as well. Be brave, take ownership, be agile. The first three and the most important words of our CEO in our last conference, and I really ride on to that.
And apparently, it's feel like it could be contradictory to talk about the numbers related to the company, the numbers of employee, the fact that your digital system is really centralized, and then you talk about individual, you talk about entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship is really one-to-one. So how do you manage this apparent contradiction between the big number, the alignments, and the ownership you give to each individual in your company?
There's no contradiction there. Everybody can be an entrepreneur in their function or think like an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur needs to work for his bread and needs to make sure he survives, and he needs to be resilient. An entrepreneur thinks out of the box, looks at possibilities, and doesn't stop and ask and wait till he's being told to do something. An entrepreneur acts. It is, of course, essential, and Annick spoke about that, that our leaders facilitate that. We are facilitators for people to do their job. We are not there centrally to tell them constantly what to do. We wouldn't be able to do so with 50,000 people in more than 100 countries in all of those stations. They need to solve it, but they need to know, I can do it, I can make a mistake, they will listen to me, I will get an investment. That's what we need to do as leaders.
Annick, just to come back on something that was really interesting to me and also linked to resilience, you use the term coachable. How do you describe a coachable leader?
Yeah, well, there's many different ways of describing it. For me, it starts with leaders who are humble enough to not only listen to feedback, but also wherever they are in their career, wherever they are, how many years of seniority they have, whatever place in the organization they have, that they also continue to ask for feedback proactively and ask people around them, more junior than them, peers, their managers, whatever, on how can I do things differently? And a coachable leader for me is taking feedback, proactively asking for it, and then also, of course, acting upon it and checking in on, do you feel that I'm doing it differently or better? And that for me is coachable, but it probably starts with a good level of humility to feel comfortable, because it's showing your vulnerability again.
Yes. Coming back to what you said, Harm and Annick, you all said that finally we are leaving a world and entering a new one. And this process is a change process. And in a change process, we all know that there are different phases. The first phases is revolution, hate, being desperate, and then to recover. So my question to you all is, isn't it too early to talk about resilience? Because for me, resilience comes at the very last stage, when you finally have gone through all those previous stages in your mental evolution, and then you begin to be resilient. So where do you place resilience finally in the situation where we are now?
Harm, do you want to go to?
Okay,
I don't see that discrepancy between beginning and ending. Things happen and you need to deal with it, and things happen now. Resilience is not about planning an eventuality that might happen in 3 weeks and we plan for it, and it doesn't come at the end. It's a state of mind, and you have to deal with the situation that you are confronted with. I'm also not so fond about the new normal. Things have changed around in the last hundreds of years, time over time. Due to the global connectiveness of everything, things change faster now and on a bigger scale. And we see that happening, everybody reacting to everything. And you need to, what we as companies and as leaders can do, we can offer some stability for our people in this crazy world around us, with all kinds of political leaders and all kinds of tensions around the world. We can offer stability. We can offer safety for our people. We can offer a safe income for our people. And we can offer even a fulfilling job. I think that's what we can offer in this strange world. I don't see resilience coming first or last.
Thank you, Annick.
I think Annick agrees.
Yeah, fully agree, because it's a journey you're on. When you go through a change, it's a journey you're on. You take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and it is by doing that you build that resilience muscle continuously. So if it would only come at the end, I think we would be in bad shape. It's something that you take through the whole journey.
Okay, thank you. So I understand it's not a stage of the change process, but it's something that had to be consistent throughout all the change process.
There's only one thing we know for sure: it will not stay the same, and the year will have lots of. Oh, Annick is gone as well. The year will have a lot of surprises, just like in 2020. It's just you and me now, Benoit.
Yes, and maybe 500 or maybe 1,000 people listening to you.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. I would like to be more specific about you finally and DHL Global Forwarding. About, can you give us some operational example on how culture have been resilient? And that will be the last question, because we only have like.
We have many. What comes to mind is the situation we had in Lebanon. I think everybody saw the blast that happened somewhere like 6 months ago, where this chemical stuff exploded and destroyed the full harbor and large portions of the business corner in Lebanon. Our people over there didn't wait for us to tell them what to do. We have to stop the session. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Do we still have
matters in their own hands and solve the issue locally?
Yeah. And do we still have time for a question from the audience? Okay. Thank you very much, Aaron, for this insightful sharing. And thank you, Annick. She had to leave us. So let's go back to the global session and celebration.
Thank you, Benoit. It was fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.